The next one is Salih, talking about the NEEDS project, another European project, the second of the 3 projects today. So Salih, if you
Well, thank you,
can
Daisy.
take the floor.
I'm going to try to make up a bit for the long presentation so we can all still have a lunch. Waiting for the presentation on the screen.
It's coming.
Yes.
Yes.
So again, thank you, Daisy, Nick, for giving the opportunity today to present the NEEDS project to the audience during this Inland Navigation Week. So, as all European projects, NEEDS also is an abbreviation, and it stands for New Sustainable Fuel Deployment Scenarios, NEEDS. It is a Horizon Europe coordination support action. So in comparison to Synergetics, for example, it is less of a research development project. Coordination support actions are merely meant to coordinate and support research activities and policies in the European Union. We started last year, May 2022, and the project will run until October this year. Marin is the project coordinator and also the main developer of the model, which I will present within a couple of minutes. And then we have SINTEF, EICB, CERT, Balance, Waterborne TP, and Sea Europe. We will have an estimated project size of €500,000 approximately. So why is this project important? Why is it relevant? In previous years, we got introduced to a lot of European policies and proposed policies, such as the European Green Deal, of course, from 2019, and then the Sustainable Mobility, Sustainable and Smart Mobility Strategy, both presented by Daisy also this morning. The Fit for 55 package, of course, and all its proposals, and the proposed revision of the 10T, which will all have a effect, either direct or indirect, on the energy infrastructure for the waterborne transport sector, and specifically today for the inland waterway transport sector energy infrastructure. To go back. For example, the Green Deal, the Smart Sustainable Mobility Strategy, those policies and proposed policies will stimulate the fleet in becoming greener, which will in turn have an effect, of course, on demand for clean energy and the energy infrastructure, which needs to react on that. And on the other side, we have direct policies and proposed policies, which will have an effect on the energy infrastructure, such as the AVER, for example, part of Fit for 55, and the proposed revision of the 10T, which both will directly affect the energy infrastructure. An energy infrastructure which today mainly consists of bunkering stations and bunker boats providing fossil diesel, and to a lesser extent also biodiesel, for example, GTL and LNG. But we need to move towards a clean energy infrastructure, bunkering stations, bunker boats also providing clean alternatives such as green hydrogen, such as green methanol, recharging points, fast recharging points for batteries, locations for swapping energy containers. So much needs to be done, but we will also face a lot of challenges in this respect. The realization of this clean energy infrastructure faces some economic, legal, and also technical challenges. The main economic challenge in this respect is basically the currently lacking demand for clean energy, which does not yet justify any sizable investments in this clean energy infrastructure. And then we have also some legal bottlenecks, of course, cumbersome permitting procedures and rules for both building the clean energy infrastructure, but also operating it, which discourages a bit the investors, of course. And then we have technical challenges. A very important one is we have currently a quite mature bunkering infrastructure for the IWT sector. Bunkering stations, bunkering boats, mainly providing diesel. If and how are we going to utilize this existing infrastructure for providing clean forms of alternative energy? So there are a lot of challenges, And the objective of NEEDS in this respect is to try to ease these challenges a bit. We will, or mainly Marin, will develop a techno-economic simulation model, which sounds complex. It's also quite complex. And an associated methodology to assess the most efficient and clean energy deployment strategies for different countries and regions in Europe. So in the project, we are focusing on the whole waterborne transport sector, both the inland waterway transport sector and the maritime transport sector. With this model, with this techno-economic simulation model, which is being built in Python, by the way, the programming language, on top of SymPy, which is a Python library enabling to simulate real-life events. With this model, we will be able to simulate different scenarios for the clean energy deployment, containing regional information. The Rhine region for inland waterway transport, which is one of the two cases, and the Greek islands for maritime shipping. And scenarios could, for example, be a certain grant scheme for the use of clean alternative energy. And then we can start simulating how this will affect the fleet, how the fleet will start to switch to certain clean forms of energy, how it will impact its operations, where they will bunker, how they will bunker, effect on emissions, on the costs, etc. So two cases, the Rhine and the Greek case, but in the end, of course, the goal is to have a good sound model which can also be used after the project lifetime. For other regions, for other vessel types, other transport journeys, and so on. The eventual goal is, of course, that this simulation model will help the Commission, member states, but also the broader waterborne community in evaluating what the most efficient transition pathway will be towards 2050 and zero emission. So, talking about the model, in the model we will have a number of inputs, so to say. We will have the energy carriers there, hydrogen, methanol, diesel, and all the energy carriers is also presented by Daisy. It will be there. Its properties, the energy density, gravimetric, volumetric, and their potential for reducing emissions will be there. And then we will, of course, have the ports. For the inland case, we have the Rhine area and all the ports along the Rhine, where the fuel or electricity will be stored and provided to the vessels. We have the transport journeys, of course. We have 25 in total, which I will talk about soon. Their types, their distances, particular weather statistics and water levels on those routes will be in the model. The vessels, of course, very important. We are considering the fleet families as identified in the prominent project, which I will also talk about in a minute. The characteristics of these vessels, their transport capacity, their current fuel tank size and range, operational profile of these vessels on the given transport journeys, the energy carrier they are currently sailing on, and the suitable alternative energy carriers. So that's also all in the model. And given all this input data, we will be able to make the simulations and start running the analysis. So the inlet vessel types and the operational profiles. As I said, we are using the proven categorization from the prominent project with the fleet families. And for the transport journeys, we are assuming a top 25 representative transport journeys in the Rhine region. And those are once identified in prominent and later on also used in other analyses. It's a proven categorization of transport journeys which can represent the overall transport in the Rhine region. The greening technologies and the corresponding cost information for these technologies are analyzed by us and DST for the CCR study. It's also presented by Daisy in the morning. So those are the technologies we are currently using in the model for the inland waterway case. And of course, Maren has also a huge database, an in-house database on waterway characteristics, on water levels, but also on hydrodynamics of certain vessels. That's all there in the Maren database, which will also be used in the simulation model. And in addition, we also obtained some additional information, new information which was not in existing studies, such as fuel tank capacities of certain fleet families, but also the bunkering speed for clean alternative forms of energy, also the charging speed and the speed of swapping energy containers. That's also all currently obtained and will be used in the model. So to give you an idea, indeed, the technologies are on the left side, and on the right side, perhaps a bit too small for people in the back, but you will all get the presentation afterwards. Those are the 25 journeys which are representing the transport in the Rhine region. And in addition to this quantitative analysis, we will also do some qualitative analysis to the applicability of the different energy carriers, but also to the potential of upscaling the renewable energy production in the region, in the Rhine region, from wind, for example, solar, hydro, nuclear power plants, bioenergy, and so on. And of course, very important, the potential impact of this energy transition on the port infrastructure. So given this transition towards zero emission, will the port infrastructure be able to adapt in a timely manner, and how? Which is also very important to highlight in this respect. And once the model is fully developed, by July 2023 this year, we expect that we can start the simulations. And once the model is fully developed, we can use it for various scenarios which we need to develop yet. But you can think, for example, of, as I said, certain grant schemes which simulate the transition to greener fuels. But also incentive programs for the deployment of recharging points, for more swapping locations of energy containers. And all these scenarios will be analyzed, and its outcomes will help us in further analyzing the total cost of ownership from a fleet perspective. But it will also help us in analyzing what this all will mean for the energy infrastructure in terms of cost and from other aspects. And these results will of course also be discussed with relevant stakeholders and experts by means of workshops, for example, and also with the STEERER network. STEERER is a European Horizon project, and within this project a, let's say, group of stakeholders was created with mainly experts from the waterborne community, also including IWT related experts. So also this group, the STEERER network, will be used to have discussions with. And I can imagine that it's a bit difficult to envisage what this simulation looks like and what the results will be. So it will be in Python, so it will be mostly dull programming language, but Maren is also working on a interface which tries to visualize a bit the results. And I also have a sheet on the next one trying to visualize that. So this is just a snapshot, so it's static, but in reality you can see all the vessels moving. So these are all vessels, and it's a very first basic test simulation in which we took a number of vessels starting from diesel and then moving towards batteries, electrification. And so based on the scenario you define, let's say there was a simulation program providing grants for battery electric propulsion systems and giving all the information in the model, you can simulate how the fleet we put in there will change towards battery electric propulsion system, where they will bunker, how it will impact the operations. So it will run under 2050, it will run until 2050, and during that time you can see all the vessels moving, see where they go, where they load, unload, where they bunker, and eventually also what the effect will be on emission reduction, for example, on cost. And all will be there. This is the last slide, Daisy, so I hope this gave a good idea of what the model is and what it does. That was the last sheet. So if there are any questions, you can raise them now or you can reach me afterwards. You can see my contact details there. So in comparison to Synergetics and the upcoming River project, this project is not really about converting vessels or building vessels, but it's really, as a coordination and support action should be, it's more about coordinating these actions and supporting these actions, and also really providing some policy recommendations and policy support.
All right.
So that's it.
Yes.
Thank you all, and if there are questions, no? Okay.
Well, I don't see online questions. Maybe the physical questions can wait until the lunch if there are questions.